Hello, my name is Jeff Barratt and welcome to another segment of Education Matters. I'm joined today by two guests, very illustrious members of the team at Emily Griffith Technical College, to talk about our new branch campus location at 1205 Osage. It's going to be a wonderful campus grand opening in August, but we thought we'd give you a little sneak peek and talk about programming, the future of trades and industry as far as programming and what the job placement outlook looks like for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and talk about some other exciting things that are happening with this new branch campus. So as I mentioned, we have two great guests. The first on my far right is Brad Vickers, who is our outgoing dean for the College of Trades and Industry, and he's joined by Michael Beavis, who is his successor, who is joining us all of 2 days on the job. So we're happy to have both in the studio today. So let's start with Brad. So Brad, you've served the district for a long time. How many years has it been now?
29 years.
29 years with Denver Public Schools.
Correct.
Wow, that's pretty incredible for anyone to serve that many years in one organization. And at Emily Griffith Technical College, you've served how many years now?
12.
So a dozen years there.
A dozen years there.
He's been a great colleague, great friend. He's done some amazing work in his tenure at the college, and we'll be sad to see him go. And then we have his successor with us today, Michael Beavis. So Michael, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Again, we've had him all of 2 days on the job. So Michael joins us from University of Phoenix. And so give us a little background of where you've been and what you've done.
So I spent about 17 years in the banking and finance industry before I transitioned into higher education. I worked, as you mentioned, for the University of Phoenix. I've taught at several universities as well, for-profit and traditional models as well, and just really fell in love with higher education. And when this opportunity came up, I was ecstatic, especially seeing the passion that all the Emily Griffith Technical College staff members have and the faculty members have, and the mission and the values that you guys have really in line with my own personal values. So happy to be here.
Oh, well, great to have you here. So Brad, you've seen in 12 years, you've seen a lot of changes at the college. I've only been there 5 years as executive director, but you've seen a tremendous amount of change. So talk about the old campus and some of the challenges that we had as far as running your operation with the College of Trades and Industry.
Well, one of the things, the old campus was, as you know, it was constructed in 1926, part of the building, and then 1946, then 1956 was the newest addition. Well, today's modern technology, the things that we're doing in trades and industry, that campus really didn't lend itself for the premier education environment that we really need to provide for students, and as well as our instructional staff. The building, as you know, you experienced many of the hardening of the arteries that we all suffered together, failing plumbing, electrical systems that were inadequate, et cetera, and always doing a patchwork to try to make ends meet. What's really exciting about the new campus, both new campuses, the one that you office at and the one that Michael will be taking over here real soon, is that they are modern campuses. We have an HVAC facility now that is truly remarkable. Our instructors are so giddy to get into the building that it allows us to expand, it allows us to provide the instruction that students really need to be competitive in the workforce. And the one thing that's really exciting about Emily Griffith as a whole is our completion and placement rates. One thing is true, if you have really good teachers, really good instruction, you can teach in a barn. However, it's much better to teach in a nice barn that really prepares people well for what they're going to see in the workplace.
And we'll get to that new location here in a second, because it is truly a state-of-the-art campus, and we're very excited about moving into it in a couple of weeks. So at the old campus, we've experienced a lot of challenges along with the main campus that we have now moved at 1816 Lincoln Street. So I just wanted to recap some of the changes that have happened at the college. So we've moved from one campus where we've been since our initial inception in 1916 at 1250 Welton Street, and now we're moving into 3 different locations, of which has created tremendous change, tremendous opportunity for both our faculty, staff, and for our students. So just a quick recap. So we moved from 274,000 square feet from our main campus that we had at the old location. We have now moved to 110,000 square foot campus, which is our main campus housing 3 out of 4 colleges. We've also moved, as we'll talk about here in a minute, to a new branch campus, which will be opening up in a couple of weeks, we hope, given the construction scheduling, if you will. And we also have a instructional service center at 200 East 9th Street, which houses our broadcast studio, which we are now sitting in, and our video production program. So this gives us 3 distinct campuses and tremendous opportunity for our students and staff to learn and work in a tremendous environment. So let's now talk about the new location specifically.
Sure.
So you can see the backdrop behind me is an artist rendering of our new branch campus at 1205 Osage Street. And this campus will house many programs which we'll talk about here in a minute. But first of all, let's start off with a time-lapse video of where this building started and where we're at now. So Brad, do you want to kind of give us a voiceover of what we're looking at?
Oh yeah. So right here, this is the ground level, and what you're seeing lots of dirt piled up. And in this building, it was an open warehouse, a book repository. But when we were constructing this, we had to put in all new plumbing, electrical systems. So you're seeing a pretty rapid pace. So like when you look at here, the whole ground floor had to be really dug up, new plumbing put in. Some of the interesting things we found were other foundations from pre-existing buildings under this building that we had to mitigate and work with. That was a real challenge. And but as you're seeing this transformation, that's the automotive center right there. That was the automotive center prior to it actually being installed. So this whole building took a complete transformation, and we've got service bays that we can bring in cars. We have all the modern equipment for automotive service as far as tire mount and balance machines. Right there was the welding lab, all brand new downdraft welding draft equipment. You're looking at the second floor right here as it's being framed up. Now you're starting to see finishes. That I believe is the lounge area for students where they can have lunch, take a break, do some reading, research. Again, seeing some framework going up on the second floor, and that's the HVAC lab where it's going to be that's actually the lab and lecture area within the lab. Framing, that's a hallway, that's the main hallway in the second floor. Starting to see the ground face block going up. All those indentations you see on both sides of the hallway, it's an area for us to promote programs, show pictures of students doing work. That's ground floor again. Second floor, that's continuing ed. That's where our upholstery and sewing program will be installed. And then the exterior. And we are right now probably in the landscape phase of the building. It's much further than that now, as you can see there. So it's rapidly coming to a close.
Awesome. Well, as you can see, lots of transformation for a repurposed building that once housed many items or many businesses, one being, I think, a paint company at one time back in the 30, 40 years ago, and now it houses a state-of-the-art trades and industry campus for the college. So before we talk about programs, we talked a little bit about the challenges at our old location on Glenarm Street there with that building, with the College of Trades and Industry, and getting equipment in and out, materials stored. There was some safety issues potentially, you know, with just the fact that it was an aging building and had a lot of need for infrastructure upgrades. Talk about how this new campus will really assist us not only in establishing credibility with employers, because you're training with state-of-the-art equipment, but also talk about the experience for our students. And I really want to focus on our students and talking about what they get to work with and in as far as space and equipment.
You bet. So for a great example is in the automotive program. Previously, we had a space that had no wireless technology, very limited computer service. And as you know, everything today is driven by computers, and even our cars. First thing we do with a car is we hook it up to a computer, see what's going on with its computer, right? In the new facility with a wireless technology, we can actually roll up a cart right to the engine bay with a laptop and download the service bulletins that we need from All Data, Mitchell On Demand. and get those technical service information that we need right on that vehicle that we're pulling codes from on its computer system. Couldn't do that before. We always had to grab a code, run back to a hardwired machine, try to look it up. Here it's right there at the bay, information right at our fingertips. So that's really exciting. In our HVAC program, same thing. Without the wireless technology, without the control systems, in the new lab, we have an actual control lab environment where we can actually remote control service and or control heating and ventilation systems outside of the control center, which represents what goes on in the industry today. Buildings are monitored and controlled from central locations maybe a couple miles away. If room 415 isn't operating properly, that can be called in downtown and it can be pulled up on a laptop and its environment can be changed remotely. Rarely does anyone go to the wall anymore and adjust the thermostat. Right. So all that technology that we're bringing forward, same thing in welding. You know, welding is still about joining metal and it's about the welding processes, but the technologies that we use, the environment that we provide for welding students to do it safely is state of the art. There is nothing better in the state of Colorado. So it's very exciting that students are going to have that kind of opportunity to work in that lab. Our new auto collision center, paint mix booth, spray booths, downdraft booths for all the modern automotive repair, frame racks that allow us to take a car that's been crushed and actually straighten it back to manufacturer's specifications perfectly, so that you would have absolutely no idea that that car has been in a severe collision. Wow. So that technology is what we're bringing to bear at this new location, and it's really exciting for students.
So you can see how our retiring dean is excited about this project. So let me turn to Michael now and talk about your initial reactions and looking at this facility. You've now toured it several times. You're going to be officing in there in a couple of weeks. Just talk about, you know, coming in from another educational institution and just kind of give me your initial reactions to what you think about this new campus.
Yeah, I think like Brad said, I mean, I think one of the things that's most exciting is how state-of-the-art everything is and how it really is offering the opportunity for our students to be exposed to what is expected in the industry. So to be able to showcase what our students can do on the most current and available technology out there is something that certainly our employers are going to value, the students are going to value when they're able to go out and showcase really what they've been able to learn in our program. So it's super exciting for me.
So you have to feel a little bit like a kid in a candy store with all this new stuff and toys to play with your staff. How do you envision introducing some of the business and industry partners that we currently have and some that we don't?
Well, I mean, one of the things right off the bat is to get them out there to see the facility. So no doubt that they'll be impressed once they see the location, the quality of the building there, and as Brad mentioned, the quality of the technology that's included on the inside. And most importantly, to be able to get our students into the workspace so that they can see exactly how advanced our students are coming out of those programs. And that, you know, that it's not just kind of the status quo or using old curriculum. We were talking just yesterday about the curriculum development that's being there and making sure that we're on the forefront of what's expected in the industry. So I think it's a great way to get our name out there.
So this new facility just gives us more opportunities for a hands-on learning environment, which I think sets Emily Griffith apart from a lot of our higher ed peers, if you will, because you know, when I do student focus groups and student chats, they all talk about the hands-on opportunities that they have in each of our programs, which I think really puts us above what our competitors are doing with the amount of time they can spend in the lab, actually applying what they learn. So as we transition into this new facility, we already have tremendous relationships with many industry partners, and we'll talk more about programs specifically that are available at this location, Brad, but really, and Michael, but we want to talk now a little bit about industry partners. So I have an executive advisory council that meets with me 4 times a year, and we talk about high-level things of industry trends, industry sectors, et cetera. And I had a recent meeting with this group, and they were just blown away by the facility. They just couldn't wait to get students, to get their incumbent workers in the building to do some upgrade training, to partner with us in ways they hadn't thought about. as far as our certificate programs and hiring entry-level workers for their shops. So, Brad, you've been in this gig for 12 years, and you can talk about our industry partners. Talk about automotive, for instance, the shops of the world, with our water quality with Miller Coors.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about the importance of our industry partnerships.
Well, you know, because of the training that we provide, and it's to really prepare a student to be entry level in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So our industry partners serve in many ways. They serve on our advisory councils.
Mm-hmm.
Champ Automotive, you mentioned a moment ago, is a tremendous partner for our automotive program. They've already hired half a dozen of our students. Even before they graduated, they've hired them, brought them on part-time, and they're starting to learn the Champ Automotive way in addition to the automotive training we're providing, which is really an amazing opportunity. They've hired 2 young ladies out of our program, non-trad.
And I think we have a video that we want to show in a little bit about that.
I think we do,
so.
yes. And they're 2 top-notch students that we've had. So another important message in that is that, the trades, the technical trades, are for women as well. And we have many women that have gone through our programs and have gone out there and been very successful, whether it's in the HVAC environment, the automotive environment, welding environments, whatever. But Champ Automotive, tremendous partner. Our industry partners come in, they serve on our advisory boards. They come in as guest lecturers, guest speakers. So they do many things that support our program. They sometimes support us with capital equipment. They support us with scholarships. Miller Coors, you mentioned earlier, came on board a year ago with over $20,000 with scholarships that really got that program off the ground. As you know, the water industry is a graying industry. They really don't have a lot of people coming up in that industry.
Like so many industries.
Like
yeah.
so many industries, to replace the retirees, like myself. And so with that, Coors came on board with scholarship, and we were able to really build that program up, and students coming out of there get their level D and level 1 water plant operator licenses, and they're ready to go in the field, and we're placing them all over the state of Colorado. We even got a young lady placed in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, with a water facility out there.
Wow.
So this training is nationwide. It's good all across the country.
Very portable and transferable, which is great.
Absolutely.
Which is what we want
Very
all of our
exciting.
degrees to be. So let's take a quick second and tee up a video of Miss Ariana, a student that Brad was talking about, who's a recent graduate of our automotive program, who's now a practicing technician at Champs Automotive.
So this is where the throttle body would go. This is the intake. My name is Ariana Gonzalez, and I'm taking the automotive service program here at Emily Griffith.
Not here too.
I actually started being interested in cars when I was around 15.
Saving didn't come.
I chose Emily Griffith because that's what I decided over the summer, that I wanted to work on cars, do something different from what everybody else was doing. Also, I was looking at other technical schools for automotive, but the thing is that they were too expensive, so that's why I chose to come over to Emily Griffith. I want this career to take me as an automotive tech to show other women that also it's not just a voice thing, that women are capable of doing whatever men can do. My favorite part is actually taking apart the engine. That was my favorite class. My dad, his radiator had a leak, and then he was going to go take it to a mechanic to go get it fixed, and I was like, oh, well, Dad, we had done this in class. Like, that was our first class that we took, and I was like, I can go ahead and take out the radiator. And I was like, I'll help you out, I know what to do. So I did it myself, and I saved my parents money. Yeah, I have a job. I have a job at Champ Automotive. I remember this one lady, she had asked if someone could put on a head bulb for her. So I start working, and while I'm putting in the bulb, I hear her little daughter in the back, not really screaming, but telling her mom, she's like, Mommy, you see, a girl's working on our car. And then her mom just comes over to me ecstatic, and she's like, oh, we're just teaching our daughter that whatever a man can do, girls can do. She's like, oh, you're a good example about that. Made me feel really proud. I think Emily Griffith is great. They gave me the opportunity to learn. They gave me a scholarship. They gave me an instructor that helps me. When I have any questions, he'll answer it, or if that way I still don't understand, he'll go ahead and explain it. And then I also have peers that help me a lot, and they support me through what I do.
Welcome back to our segment of Education Matters. Today, as you know, I have two wonderful guests. Brad Vickers, who is our exiting dean, going off into retirement. I'm a little jealous about that. And our new dean of the College of Trades and Industry, Michael Beavis, who joins us recently from the University of Phoenix, where he worked before. So in looking at that video and thinking about our students, non-traditional involvement is something we really focus on in trying to get non-traditional students involved in our programs. For instance, women in automotive, women in welding, men in nursing, etc. Talk about some of the challenges that we've faced, Brad, in the past, and Michael, you can talk about your experiences as well. Just jump in and talk about how we as a college have really looked at that challenge.
Well, the big challenge is that oftentimes women just don't think these are careers for them. And what we have found is that every time we have a non-trad enrollment of women in welding, they always end up rising to the top of the class. They are always among the best of our best. And so I think trying to get over those old-time stereotypes that these aren't careers for ladies, they are. And you know, a lot of times the technical trades also are viewed as, you know, dirty careers or grimy careers, and they really aren't, you know. In the new facility, for example, you know, where we do engine teardown and rebuilds and transmissions, we have what we call the clean room. And the whole point of that room is it's like a surgical center, you know, and that engine is like the patient. And everything has to be as clean and sterile as possible, you know, as we repair something. And so women don't have to look at this field as something that's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be just so gross and dirty and grimy all the time. It's not the case. You know, it's a very clean technical environment that we work. And you know, if you have a passion for cars and you're a lady, then this is a great program. So some of the things that we've done to try to really overcome some of those obstacles, we've really aggressively gone out and looked for non-trad instructors. We've brought on Miss Emily Wasser, who's our auto collision instructor. We've got Janet Corio in our HVAC program, and they have brought Shauna Lee and Cad Bim. So we've brought in some real talent from the industry who are non-trad themselves, so that we're hoping that we just not only talk the talk, we model it for women coming up in the workforce that say, hey, those are careers for me too.
So when I think about our future students, Michael, and the millennial generation, if you will, which is getting a lot of press and coverage and discussion around the country with how do we assimilate them into the workforce that has been more traditional. So let's talk a little bit, Michael, about the value of concurrent enrollment, really working on those pipelines in high school, maybe utilizing distance learning because we live in a world that is highly technological. Talk a little bit about that and how you see moving forward and with this new location and attracting those millennial students.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up the millennials, because it's obviously an area of focus for a lot of us in the education sector as well as in the workplace. And how do you really engage those individuals so that we can maximize the full potential that they have to offer? And so when you talk to millennials, what you really find is that they don't want to be stereotyped, or they don't want to be gender typed into a particular role. And Brad and I were actually talking yesterday about how interesting that it is that there's a photo in our office from 1920 of Emily Griffith Technical College Automotive, and every person in the photo except one is a woman. In the automotive piece. So it's kind of nice to see how cycles kind of come back around from time to time. And I think there's a great opportunity to really kind of look at ways for us to engage this kind of tactile learning experience into an online space, and how do you kind of blend that modality. It's interesting, coming from a school that's primarily known for its online space, they suffer in really trying to find ways to create a tactile or a real experiential learning opportunity for their students. And so this is a great way for us, where students come in, they're actually gaining the skills on a minute-by-minute basis, really, when they're in the classroom, because they're getting to do what we're training them to do, you know, as part of the curriculum, and now find ways to incorporate those that maybe can't get to a current location, or better yet, to find those that can get there from sometimes, but keep them engaged when they're away from the classroom, so they're constantly in a perpetual learning environment. So.
The online environment too, you know, we use it as supplemental as well. And the exciting thing about D2L and Brightspace that we utilize for supplemental learning is students can do a lot of their reading. We can capture an instructor demonstration or a lecture, put it on our Brightspace spot. Students can go back, they can watch that 20 times if they want to. They can watch it 2 in the morning if they want to. But what that really does is it frees up even more time in the lab for hands-on and the experiential learning. So it's really exciting.
You know, distance learning is a big part of our world, and you look at these big online massive learning courses at Stanford and people that are offering to 5,000 students at a time, and you look at the success rates, which aren't as great as they would like them to be, I'm sure. And I think about ways in which Emily Griffith has embraced distance learning using hybrid instruction, for instance. Our dental assisting program, as an example, used to be pretty much all on ground and in the classroom and in the dental lab. Now it's a hybrid model where they're doing the theoretical component online and looking at students coming in less time to do the lab work. Do you envision some of this philosophy and concept being implemented in the College of Trades and Industry as we move forward?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think it's a great way, as I mentioned kind of before, is how do you get individuals to stay engaged in the learning process even when they're away from the classroom environment. And so this kind of flipped classroom approach, which you kind of described there, is something that's kind of cutting edge in you know, primary education, and it's made its way into secondary education as well, post-secondary education. And it's really just a way to get the students in the mindset of being able to constantly be in a state of learning. Because when they can be in that constant state of learning, it's really when they're able to apply the skills and the passion that they have in a way that's meaningful to them. And so this is a great way for us to kind of keep them engaged in that process, you know, when they're outside of the lab, so that they're learning the theoretical concepts, and then they're coming in and putting it to practice when they come and see us firsthand.
Oh, that's awesome. So when I think about all the changes that have happened in higher education with badging and the repackaging of where higher ed is going, actually, the traditional modes of delivery are rapidly dissipating, and you're seeing new models rising to the top. When you think about new programming moving in, obviously Colorado has every industry sector known to the country as far as our job placement. What are some new programs that might be on the horizon?
Yeah, I think we have to look at really what the demands are within the region and where the job growth is, so that we have the opportunity to help feed that and keep that skill set, you know, local here within the economy there. But you look at the oil and gas sector, you look at the clean water programs and the different environmental things that are coming out. I think there's real opportunity there, and then of course manufacturing is starting to make its way back, and so we're starting to see lots of growth in that area. For you know, the manufacturing jobs that were lost several years ago are starting to make their way back as the consumers are finally starting to realize quality is important. You know, the ability to kind of be local to your producer is really important to those individuals, and we need to make sure that the workforce is skilled enough to continue to bring back what really once made this region really booming in that area.
Wow. So as you can see, we have tremendous opportunity. We've had tremendous growth, tremendous transition, obviously transitioning personnel, transitioning students from one location to the other. All exciting changes for the College of Trades and Industry and Emily Griffith Technical College as a whole. So I want to thank Brad Vickers.
Thank you.
And again, not congratulate you, but wish you well in retirement. We're going to be sad to see you go, because Brad has been a truly wonderful ambassador of the college. And then welcome Michael Beavis. Thank you for joining us today and in his new role, and we're excited about him joining the team and taking Brad's great work and pushing it into even greater things potentially. So again, the new branch campus is located at 1205 Osage Street. We are actually a few blocks up from the light rail station. We are able to provide parking for students as well. And again, we offer the lowest tuition in the state of Colorado. So not only are you getting a great education, you're getting it at the most affordable price point in a post-secondary environment that you can find in the state of Colorado. So welcome. Thank you for tuning in to Education Matters, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.